إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة. هناك تثبيتان، تثبيت في الدنيا وتثبيت في الآخرة. ويضل الله الظالمين ويفعل الله ما يشاء. This ayah that I want to talk to you about in Surah Ibrahim alayhi salam, we recited the first rak'ah, talking about the believers at time of death, in the grave, and the day of judgment. Before I get into that, I want a quick reflection on the ayah I recited in the second rak'ah from Surah Fatir. ثم أورثنا الكتاب الذين اصطفينا من عبادنا فمنهم ظالم لنفسه ومنهم مقتصد ومنهم سابق بالخيرات. قسم الله سبحانه وتعالى المؤمنين إلى ثلاثة أقسام كما جاء عن عائشة رضي الله عنها. سألها عقبة رضي الله عنه عن هذه الآية، فمنهم ظالم لنفسه ومنهم مقتصد ومنهم سابق بالخيرات. عقبة رضي الله عنه asked Aisha رضي الله عنها about this ayah. What does it mean? And here is the answer of Aisha رضي الله عنها. I want you to reflect on the humbleness of Aisha and the knowledge of Aisha رضي الله عنها. قالت يا بني كلهم في الجنة. She said, O son, all of them in heaven. ظالم لنفسه مقتصد سابق بالخيرات. أما السابق فما مضى على عهد نبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وشهد له بالجنة. وأما المقتصد فمن تبع أثره من أصحابه حتى لحق به. وأما الظالم لنفسه فمثلي ومثلك. Aisha told him رضي الله عنها the meaning of ظالم لنفسه and مقتصد سابق بالخيرات. سابق بالخيرات is the person who is advanced in doing good, high. She said this is like those who lived at the time of the Prophet ﷺ and they were given the glad tidings of Jannah. And muqtasid is a person who followed the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ, like the companions and such. And the last one, which is ظالم لنفسه, a person who transgressed against himself, she said it's like me and you. Yani basically those who sin. And when I say sin, yani you could have more sin than good deeds. سابق بالخيرات قام بالواجبات وابتعد عن المحرمات والمكروهات. قام بالواجبات والمندوبات وابتعد عن المحرمات والمكروهات. سابق بالخيرات is a person who is highly advanced, who did what he's supposed to do plus. Yani it's not like you just pray the fard, you pray the fard and the sunnah. It's not like you fast Ramadan. You fast Ramadan, you fast Mondays and Thursdays and 6 days of Shawwal and others. It's not you pay the zakah only, but you also participate in charity and such. ظالم لنفسه is a person who sins, mixes a lot of sins and repents and does it over and over like we do. Muqtasid is a person who is just doing what he is supposed to do. Yani barely making it, as we say. طيب يثبت الله الذين آمنوا. We are all in Jannah, inshallah. As long as you have the basics of Tawheed basis of Islam, which is Tawheed, La ilaha illallah, eventually you are in Jannah. So this is good news. But we have here tathbeet, and this is what you and I need. You may do good, and you may plan good, and you may, oh, you know, I got it. You know, what's a big deal? What's going to happen? I can answer it. I already know the questions, and I already know the answers, as we will see. But the question is, have you been in a grave before? Have you been in a dark room or dark, tiny, small place and locked up and dark and no one there and you cannot get out? Have you imagined that? Did you at least go in a grave and lay down in it to see how it feels without being covered or without being alone? Have you seen the day of judgment and the commotion and the fear and all of those things? إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انْكَدَرَتْ, when the whole universe collapses. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us in some places detailed description. إن زلزلة الساعة شيء عظيم يوم ترونها تذهل كل مرضعة عما أرضعت وتضع كل ذات حمل حملها وترى الناس سكارى وما هم بسكارى. يعني الناس شكلهم يعني العقول ذهبت من الخوف من الرعب من الرهبة. يعني people lose their mind. They look like they're drunk, they're disoriented, they're scattered. They're going every direction. They don't know where to go. Confused. So, have you been there? No. But you need to picture that. At that time, to come and tell me I know it, that's far-fetched. Therefore, this is the ayah that we have hope in. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma قال القول الثابت لا إله إلا الله. The affirmed word that you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala affirms you on is لا إله إلا الله. والبراء بن عازب قال نزلت هذه الآية في عذاب القبر. This ayah was revealed talking about the punishment of the grave. And the person will be questioned. So تثبيت يكون في مكانين في الدنيا وفي الآخرة. وفي الدنيا يكون في الحياة الدنيا وفي البرزخ ثم يوم القيامة. Tathbeet, when we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala affirms your heart, angels will be there to affirm your heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you the peace and give you the memory where you can answer and talk confidently. I'm not scared. That's a special thing for the believers. So in this life, at time of death and in the grave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala affirms you. At time of death, angels will be with you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. Angels will witness or be with you at the time of death. They will be with you in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support you. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يدافع عن الذين آمنوا. He will defend you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you victory over your enemy. إِنَّا لَنَنْصُرُ رُسُلَنَا وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Many ayat. In the grave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will affirm your heart to answer the questions of the angels. And those questions are so simple. Everyone knows it. But to be in that situation, it's not a simple Q&A. It's not an angel coming with a so nice looking man, friendly, and sitting you down and telling you, brother, sit down and relax and have some coffee or something. No. يَنْتَهِرَانِ. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, they are so stern in their conversation, yelling, loud, ينتهران من ربه من ربه ما دينه. And you are there. You have no idea where you are. So it's impossible for you to remember it to me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts peace and calmness in your heart. The angels who witnesses your funeral, supported you in dunya, at time of death, attended your funeral, prayed on you, will continue to be with you there, comforting you and affirming your heart so you can answer the questions correctly. Look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he said this ayah, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, قال إن المؤمن إذا حضر الموت شهدته الملائكة يسلمون عليه ويبشرونه بالجنة فإذا مات مشوا في جنازته ثم صلوا عليه مع الناس فإذا دفن أجلس في قبره فيقال له من ربك فيقول ربي الله ويقال له من رسولك فيقول محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم فيقال له ما شهادتك فيقول أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله فيوسع له في قبره مد بصره. Believer, angels follow him, pray on him, seat him in the grave, and when he is asked the question, they're comforted. Who's your Lord? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who's your Prophet? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. What's your testimony of faith? La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Then his grave will become so spacious and vast as far as you can see. Imagine that your house becomes as huge as you can see. This is the place for you in Jannah. Now here is the catch. Look at the disbeliever. أما الكافر فتنزل عليه الملائكة فيبسطون أيديهم يعني بالضرب. Angels will descend on him and they will be hitting him, his face and his back. يضربون وجوههم وأدبارهم عند الموت. فإذا دخل قبره أقعد فقيل له من ربك. When he goes in the grave, he's seated. That's the wrongdoer, the disbeliever. Who's your Lord? What would he say? فَلَمْ يَرْجِعْ إِلَيْهِمْ شَيْئًا أَنْسَاهُ اللَّهُ مَا ذَكَرَ. Here is where when some people very shallow in knowledge, when they leave the graveyard or at the grave, they will be giving تلقين ودون تلقين للميت بلقنوه إذا أتتك الملائكة وسألوك من ربك فقل ربي الله, cheating in the final exam before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some people cheat. They want to give the answer of those questions for the dead person in the grave. Look here what happened. أنساه الله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fear and everything, plus Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take that knowledge from you as a wrongdoer or disbeliever. But for the believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala affirms his heart. So angels will be beating up that person. And when he is asked that question, he will not say anything. In some ahadith, he will be going, it's like thinking about to answer. He might have heard the question, and he might have known it, but refused to believe. But this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. فإذا دخل قبر فأنساه الله وإذا قيل له من رسولك الذي بعث إليك كذلك لم يهتدي له ولم يرجع إليهم شيئا فذلك قوله سبحانه وتعالى ويضل الله الظالمين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leads the wrongdoers and the disbelievers astray, meaning they will not answer any of these questions. And look at the ending of that ayah. وَيَفْعَلُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does whatever He wants. Meaning He gives guidance and He gives misguidance. He is the one who benefits and He is the one who harms. He is the one who gives hidayah and He is the one who takes the hidayah. He is the one who blesses with health and He is the one who takes away the health. Based on what He sees in the person's heart and what the person does. It's not like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does all of that the way He wants without any plans or without any action of the believers. So here is the question. How many of you don't know the answer for the three questions. Who's your Lord and who is your prophet and how did you know that? We all know that. But why people get misguided and some people go to hell? It is because they know it but they did not live by it. To be affirmed, in order that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives your heart the firmness, it is to live on it, to act upon it, and to lead a good life. And this is a golden opportunity. And then on the day of judgment, that's the second thing to worry about when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala affirms the heart. There are many questions there. Some of them the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us, like he told us in the hadith, لا تزول قدم عبد حتى يسأل عن أربع عن عمره فيما أفناه. Day of judgment you will be asked about your life. How did you spend it? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't affirm your heart, you will have no idea what to say. But you remember and you will say, and علمه ماذا عمل به, your knowledge, you sat here and you heard and you knew. What did you do with it? Did you act upon it? Did you teach it to someone else? And so forth. وعن ماله من أين اكتسبه وفيما أنفقه. Your money, where did you get it and how did you spend it? It's not just where did you get it, it's how you spend it. It is amazing that some people involved in haram and they don't even get to enjoy the money. They leave it for their inheritors. Their inheritors kick back and enjoy it. They are the one to be questioned about it, the day of judgment, and they benefited zero from it. That's how silly a human being can be, is to get in haram and let someone else enjoy it and you will be questioned about it. And that question is harsh. And how you spend it, because just because you have the money in halal doesn't mean you can spend it any way you want. There are rules that you have to abide where it pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And finally, عن جسمه فيما أبلاه, your body, meaning your hands, your eyes, your ears, all of these gestures, all of these body parts, how did you use it in your life? This hand, was it helping people or beating up on people? These eyes were looking at haram or looking in halal and the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those ears are listening to backbiting and slandering and music and you name it, or they are used for halal. Same thing with your tongue. How did you use it? Is it cuss word every other word, cussing and cursing and using filthy language and everything, or you were remembering and using it for tahleel and tasbih and takbir and good words and such? All of these will be questioned about. So my advice to myself and you, brothers and sisters, to affirm your heart or to get the affirmance of this, make sure you know the three questions in the grave and you know the answers already. So make sure you act upon it so you get the affirmance of the heart, and at the same time take care of everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you with, so the day of judgment you will get that reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is making you able to answer. Affirming your heart, no fear, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. They will not fear at the time of death, they will not fear in the grave, you will not fear the day of judgment, and you will not be sad about what you left behind. You know, now if you travel and you leave family behind, you'll be worried, oh, what is my wife going to do? Who's going to get them this? Who's going to take my children to school? You'll be so worried. But when you die, if you are a righteous person, everything will be comforted. They will tell you, don't worry, everything is taken care of. Your family in good hand, everything is fine. Don't worry about what's coming up. And you get that glad tiding. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who receive it. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. If you have questions, you can ask.